Hey everybody, my name is Jeff and welcome back to the channel. And tonight, a lot of this video was filmed last night. So when you see me change out of this shirt into a blue one, that's the one that's filmed last night. No, it was filmed Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. So it's just going to be a short little intro. I'm going to talk to you about a few things. I'm going to talk to you about a video Pete just dropped, why it's important, why you should watch it, and why you should help a little experiment that he is doing. And I'm going to talk about my experience so far with offsite ads and how they are absolutely double dipping. And I'll prove to you, I'll show you exactly what they double dipped on and kind of like my thoughts on how effective that and it's only been like a week, maybe a week and a half, so it's still very, very early, but I have some thoughts. I always have some thoughts, right guys? So Pete did a video today. I'm gonna link it in the bio. I think he does a really good job of explaining why he believes that so many people have lost 50% of their profit. Like I've commented before how that's a number that keeps coming up and that keeps coming up. And I had spoke to a viewer, Matthew. If you are watching, Mr. Golf Pro, you should get in touch with Pete, because I'm thinking back on the conversation that you and I had, and you were like talking things that were just a little over my head, a little bit analytical, but I think you and Pete would have like a lot in common to talk. So basically, Pete, he's saying the same thing you told me, Matthew, is that back in April, eBay stopped, one way or the other, whether it was eBay that initiated it or whether it was Google that initiated it. Somehow eBay's items ceased to be showed on Google, and now eBay is trying to recapture some of that by charging us to do that. I want to take that one step further. So we were all trying to figure out what changed. A lot of us are speculating. So I want to throw out one more speculation / observation. Is recently, I have been commenting the fact that the reset, it's not showing, at least in the back office, it's not showing the dramatic spikes, especially on the external offsite ads. And I think, and maybe I'm just recognizing a coincidence, that it's right around the time when eBay started either offering their free ads to promote offsite, or it's like the push, because I'm sure that the offsite ads have been going on for a while in beta test, but it feels like at the time when I was starting to see the eBay reset being less effective, at least statistical wise. I haven't actually gone into my numbers to see if I'm doing the same amount of sales, but it feels like it's a little less. It's almost getting to the point now where, at least on my wife's store, I'm gonna stop doing it, because I don't feel like it's worth my time to do it as often as I was. Maybe I'll do it a couple times a month versus every 3 or 4 days. But I feel like the observation is that the external offsite impressions have dropped sometimes like 80%, and it could be because of the push for the external offsite ad campaigns that eBay is trying to get us to do. So I think this will be a good point in time to go right into one other thing before I forget. Pete. So Pete had asked people, he wants to do a little bit more research to see if he believes that if eBay's items are no longer being shown on Google, that other selling platforms could follow suit. So he is asking for people to, and go and watch his video. It's not long, it's only 20 minutes, but he does such a good job of being analytical and explaining. He's entertaining, and you can just tell that the guy's got so much knowledge about SEO and things like that. And so he wants to hear about other people who are selling on other platforms if their items are now starting to not show up on Google. So he's asking people who are selling on other platforms to relay some information to him in hopes that he'll be able to utilize that information. And then, what I love about Pete's videos is he's always forward thinking. He's always trying to figure out how can we outsmart the algorithm? How can we stay 1 or 2 steps ahead of them? Maybe we can't. Maybe it's just enough to tread water when it comes to that. But if we're just treading water while others are falling behind, we're still ahead. So people who are doing this kind of work in the community are just extremely invaluable. So I think I'm using that right. Anyhow, so check out his video. I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to show you about my experience with the external offsite promotions. All right. I'm only doing this for a second, but I want you guys to see exactly what I'm going to show you. Don't take my word for it. So this set of comics sold for $110.95 when you include the cost of the item, shipping, and I'm guessing, yeah, the taxes as well, for sure. And you can see sold via promoted listings. Now, let me just close this. Don't want to show you any top secret, invaluable eBay usernames. All right, now 98 clicks, 1 sold, 110.95. So up until this item sold, I had 92 clicks and I had paid like $12 in ad fees for absolutely nothing. Just 92 clicks of nothingness. Money just, thrown away. And then I get 1 sale for $110.95. I showed you exactly what sold, and I'm paying promoted listings on that. So now, Pete was saying 50% of our sales are gone now, and we're not getting those back because these items, they used to be on Google. Customers would come from Google, they would search, they would come, they would go to eBay, they would buy, eBay would make money. Now, eBay wants us to pay to bring people to their website. I've brought 98 people to eBay's website. One of them bought something. And you're telling me, well, I'm telling you that they did not search eBay and my ads show up as a promoted listing. They also did not come to my website organically and then click on this item as a promoted listing. So essentially eBay, this is how I see it. eBay is charging us to bring traffic to them, and then they're charging us a promoted listing fee on top of that. Because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I want to bet on Google, right? Maybe I want to stop doing, well, not stop doing promoted listings, but maybe, okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't think it's fair that we're paying to bring traffic to eBay and then they take a cut of that as if they did something. They did not. Promoted listings is exactly what it is. They're promoting your listing. They did not promote this listing. I promoted it on Google. So I just don't understand how eBay is charging they're double dipping. It's exactly what Motorcycle Dork was showing. They're double dipping. And that does not seem right. That does not sit well with me. Well, number one, 98 clicks for 1 sale, and I'm getting 4.2% less of that sale because I have the promoted listings campaign running. Now imagine if I had, 15 or 20 or promoting at 20%, God forbid. eBay does not deserve that. They did not do anything for that. So I just, maybe I'm not looking at this information correctly. If I'm in the wrong, somebody let me know. But I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on, this is mystery solved. Mystery solved. They're double dipping, right? Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Let me know if you think that this is literally a sustainable business model. Do you think people are going to pay and then pay again to have eBay take a promoted listings fee? All right, let's just get you caught up on my store sale since I have you here. Vans hat for $35 including shipping. I'm actually really surprised. So this is just all from yesterday. This plush sold for it was like $70 including shipping to get it. This is a big, massively big plush. Luckily I had a box for it. Sold another one of those for $20 plus shipping. A couple comics sold. These ones are signed by the creators. There was that one. Paper cutter. So this particular order, he only wanted one of these, and then he ended up buying another graphic novel and another set. So I ended up getting $35 including shipping for a small little bundle of stuff. And then I'll show you these in a second. So this sold for 27.5 and this sold for 40, but I'll explain what happened about that. Oh, also stay till the end, or skip to the end if you want to see the highlights or some video footage of this little boat cruise / dinner kind of thing that I booked while Maria was away, that we went on. It's pretty cool. It's really cool Christmas lights and stuff like that. So those last two sales that you saw, so somebody had bought this Amazing Spider-Man, it's a cool hologram cover, although it doesn't really look that cool here. Anyhow, so this is the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099 in comics. Anyhow, I was able to upsell, so he paid $20 plus shipping for this, and then he added this one for another, how much was it? 27 additional for this one, and then he added this one as well for 40, and free shipping on the last two. So I was able to turn a $20 sale into like almost a $90 sale. Upselling 101. Oh, funny story. Let's do story time real quick. So I got this comic in a very small comic lot off of, it was either Craigslist or Marketplace, like maybe like 8-9 months ago. So if you don't know comics, then you probably don't know that Hulk 181 is the first appearance of Wolverine in comics. It's one of the most like ridiculously high-priced comics out there, and the pictures that were on the ad had a Hulk 181 on it, and the guy was asking peanuts for like this. There were like 2 or 3 graded comics, and then a handful of other comics, and then this comic. Now, he said in the ad, he was like, my roommate left these behind. I don't know anything about them. I just want to just get rid of them for $100. And I was like, okay. I'm trying to find out some information about this book. And they do these, they're called facsimile reprints. And they literally reprint them exactly like the original comic. They even look aged. But they're not worth, they're not worth much. Maybe $5-10 if they're in really high grade. And the only reason they're even worth that is because like some people were priced out of buying the original, so they want to own but they're not worth that much. So I'm trying to like get some information for this guy. Like I'm trying to have him open up the inside cover, and even on the inside cover, the I don't have an open comic, like it'll have the date and everything there. They even reprinted it to where it has the original date in it. You have to like look in another spot to see that it was actually reprinted in like 2021 or 2022. So here I'm thinking it's the original. Now, as this is happening, I'm like trying to book a time to come pick them up. Like I just want to go because things don't last. Then the guy comes back to me and he goes, hey, I just got another offer for, somebody just came in and offered him like $250. And so I'm like, okay, well, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'll do 3. Because I'm thinking it's like a $2,000 comic. Long story short, we bid it up. It was like up to $1,000. And he decides to go with me because I was the first one who answered the ad. And I get there and it's the reprint. Like it's not even, it's not like, here I'm driving down there thinking, you know, this is going to be like my best comic score. Because if it's in really high grade, you know, it could be worth, you know, if you get it graded, it could be worth like thousands more. And I get there and it's like, you know, the facsimile reprint. I end up giving them like $40. I'm like, look, I'm like, these really aren't worth anything. Like, I give them like $40 for everything that I got. And I've already sold some stuff out of that though. So I had some wiggle room on that price. But it was a fun little story. You know, adrenaline was high because, you know, as a reseller, as a collector, whatever you collect, if, you know, think of like the whatever, like, I don't really have dreams of owning a Hulk 181. Wolverine is not like a special character for me, but it is for a lot of people. And I just was thinking of it as a pure resale play, how it would have been really cool if that happened that way. And it will happen that way sometimes, right? You do this long enough, you're going to come along some really incredible scores. But I just remember driving down there thinking, oh man, this is, you know, in my mind, I'm like spending my money ahead of time. So I thought that was pretty funny. What else did I want to say? I think that's it. I think we're just gonna go and I'm gonna leave this video. There was just a few things that I wanted to touch upon, and so the rest of the video is going to be feedback, comments, my comments on that feedback regarding the whole feedback system. The video that I did last week, it triggered quite a few responses. On another side note, I will talk about this. I sold something that I don't have. It's very fitting. I sold something that I don't have because I sold it on Craigslist, because eBay doesn't work the way it used to, because eBay doesn't, you know, we don't get half of the traffic that we used to. We don't get half of the sales that we used to. So I'm waiting for the guy to respond to me. You know, I just got all my defects cleared on that account. Probably going to get another one. May even get a negative if the guy, you know, I'm trying to work with him but he hasn't responded yet. So it's not looking good. So I'm already kind of bracing myself. I'm probably going to get my first negative. So for those of you out there who feel that out of stocks are totally warranted, you're going to feel some silent happiness during all of this. Maybe he'll be cool about it. Maybe he'll just, you know, allow me to cancel it, but it's looking like that it's probably going to happen. You know, it is what it is. Do I feel bad? How can I feel bad? How can I, if I haven't been selling things locally, it would have been a lot worse basically over this whole time since eBay's changed. Like they're forcing us, they're literally forcing us to cross list. Even Pete was saying how it's looking like he's going to have to do that or look into that. You know, eBay is forcing us to cross list. So I really can't internally feel bad about it, because eBay is the one who's forced us to cross list. And I know that it's inevitable. So we'll see what happens, but it's looking like I'm probably going to get a defect at best, and a defect in probably, you know, depending on how cool he is about it or not. I've tried to go out there and what he bought was not, it's not easily duplicatable to go out and find it. And I have reached out to a couple sellers and they're not willing to ship to an address that's not inside eBay. I mean, I don't really see a problem with that. I know some people say how you're not protected or you're not covered. I've done it over a dozen times. Anytime somebody asks me to do that, I'm very accommodating. It's not really a big deal to me. But I know some people are very, you know, no. Anyhow, I'm just surprised of the 3 people that I've contacted, they're all like, no. So there's that. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. You know, I try to be very transparent in everything that I do. I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm going to end the video here. If I think about it between the few minutes that I kind of start putting the video together, but yeah, at the end, there's some Maria and I footage of last night's thing. It was really cool. And sales have been good over the weekend. And there's also a few local sales that I'll show you. I did a nice one yesterday, and I have a good one tomorrow as well. So, all right, guys, take care. Peace and blessings to you. Feed that YouTube algorithm, and we will talk to you guys soon. So it does seem that eBay is removing negative in instances where common sense is applied. James mentioned that he had one of his neutrals and negative removed, that he had used the online system to submit the appeal. I don't love that process. I understand why eBay's doing it. I think from a seller standpoint, we like to be able to talk to people and kind of explain the situation, and then have that customer service agent, after they kind of get the facts and kind of get the picture, submit it. But I mean, I've done that and it's come back. It's like the person in trust and safety or whatever department it is that reviews the feedback, tribunal whole process. I mean, there's been many times where it's been obvious that they didn't even bother reading that. And the reason a few other people in the comment section has mentioned that they are still being able to get negative feedback removed. There are others that are saying that they can't in instances where it seems pretty cut and dry that it should. So I think that lack of inconsistency is concerning. It's also, I want to give props to eBay when they deserve props, and it doesn't seem like they've basically drawn a line in the sand when it comes to neutral or negative feedback removal. It does seem like it's getting more challenging, and sometimes it feels like it's not even worth it to go through the process. But I mean, the whole feedback system needs to be revamped, and there are things that could be done. But let's get to these comments. Oh, one other thing, the reset on Maria store, it is just not doing a thing. I don't know why with that store I'm not having any success. It's basically not even pushing the needle in the page views or impressions at all. Like, very minimal. On my store, it's having success. I mean, this takes me back to what Jetfixer said. Is like, everyone's right, but it's just a rotation. It's like sometimes things work, sometimes things doesn't. At this point in time, I'm not going to waste my time doing it on her store right now. I'm going to give it a break. I thought I was giving it a break. I waited 7 days before I did my last reset. It didn't really seem to do anything. That was the longest I had gone since I started doing it, since October 12th. So at this point, I'm just going to wait. I don't know. I'm probably not going to try again for a couple weeks, which will give me time to just spend that time that I would be doing that listing, which I feel like I'm well behind in just getting things listed. I was actually enjoying a little bit of the break from not doing the reset, so I'm not going to do it on Maria's store, but I am still seeing success on my store. Yeah, so we'll see. So let's start with the comments. Muskman says, eBay does not show sellers reply to feedback on the app. So the only thing that people see is the negative with no reply, and he always checks the buyer's feedback left for others when you get messages or offers. Great tactic. I've never done that, but I do like that. And after, there's another comment that I'm going to read, and he basically talks about the same thing. So definitely there is value in doing that. It is like another step, which I'm always trying to remove steps from my process. I don't like having to add more steps, but as the whole feedback process evolves and it becomes more and more difficult, that might be something that I'm going to look into doing. Like, anytime I get an offer, I'm just going to go and I'm going to look, take a cursory look to kind of see, So let me read this next comment. Dave says, this is going to be long, and it is long. And the fact that he took the time to type out this lengthy message that is valuable information, I feel that it is necessary to go ahead and read this, because I miss a lot of my own comments I don't know how I do, but I do. And sometimes I go back to my older videos and I'll notice, oh, I didn't heart that, which means I didn't read it. Because once you heart it in the background, it kind of disappears from the comments threads in the back office. So, but I think this is important to protect ourselves considering eBay's lack of support for sellers. Although the fact that feedback system is stacked against us. I don't sell in high volume, so I have gotten in the habit of looking in the feedback of the buyers I've left for others. I came to this realization after an issue with a buyer that it was trying to scam me. To give some background, the buyer sent a message 2 weeks after receiving the product and stated that it was broken and didn't function properly. They had left positive feedback after receiving the product. See, now that is odd to me. Why would you leave positive feedback? And also, if you leave positive feedback, can you, because I don't deal with returns because I don't have returns, but if you leave positive feedback, can you still open returns? Because that doesn't make any sense. Why would you be able to open a return if you've basically said that you're happy with it? I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys know. The buyer sent me 2 photos. Wait. I apologized, asked the buyer to send me pictures of the product and issues. I sell new items that have a manufacturer warranty, so I figured if there was a manufacturer defect, I could help them out that way. The buyer sent me 2 photos, both of which were completely different products. And either of the products they were obviously not the product that I sold. They were the same type of product, but both were different models. I took the images they sent, did a reverse Google image search, and sure enough, found both images had been posted online. I sent them a detailed message back with screenshots of the reverse Google images search, links to the reverse search, links to where they found the images, evidence supporting that they sent me pictures of 2 different models from what I've sold them, and told them that I would not be offering a refund. They sent me a message back trying to extort me by saying either you refund or eBay will get involved in a couple of days and they will just refund it. Now I've never had this experience happen to me, but the mere fact that there are buyers out there that abuse the system like this just baffles me. I know at some point I'll deal with someone like this, but it just baffles me. Then they immediately filed it. I guess you can. See, that doesn't make any sense. Why can you file for a return after leaving positive feedback? See, again, it's common sense that just kills me with eBay. So they filed a return. After the message, I stopped communication with them and put in a detailed response into the return request. I also sent eBay a message to another department letting them know the buyer was manipulating the system and trying to extort me, and provided them with details. I went to the buyer's feedback history and looked at feedback left for others. The buyer had a history of leaving negative feedback for sellers and stating the condition wasn't as described. Thankfully, the sellers responded to the feedback and stated their case. They had offered a partial refund, asked for photos, and didn't receive, etc. After reviewing everything, eBay decided in my favor, yay eBay, and the return request was closed. I'm actually dealing with something right now I don't want to talk about because I don't know how it's gonna resolve. I'm probably gonna let it go to eBay arbitration, I guess, but I'll let you guys know how that plays out. I've been assured that it's going to end up being in my favor, but we all know how that goes. Okay, where am I at? Sorry, I keep talking and I keep losing my spot. The point is, if I had checked their feedback history prior to shipping it out, I would have canceled the order and avoided the headache or uncertainty. The buyer had a history of trying to extort sellers. It was just hidden in feedback and left for others. Everyone can help other sellers by responding to negative feedback received. This is such an important point that I've often wondered how I'm going to respond when I have to leave negative feedback, but I think just being as factual as you can and providing as much information that you can to think about it. How can you help other sellers avoid dealing with customers like the one that you're dealing with and whatever that issue is? I think that is such a key point to really let sink in. How can you help the community? I've often thought that there should, like, and I know I've talked about this before, but I have often thought there should be like a website where, you know, people can like upload, you know, their information about this, the seller experience, to kind of like, you know, get buyers blackballed. I feel like there needs to be a place like that, but it's tricky because you're still only hearing one side of it. Everyone can help sellers by responding to negative feedback received. The buyer should have been suspended from the platform 2 to 3 transactions prior. Maybe the sellers didn't take it to the level I did and report them for extortion. The discouraging part is, while I was in limbo, I researched how eBay handles disputes. There were numerous sellers that had similar stories, and eBay decided in the buyer's favor. If the buyer didn't have a history of abuse, then they would have sided with them, and I would have been forced to give a refund. After cost of goods, shipping, and eBay fees, my profit margin isn't healthy enough to absorb losing the cost of a product that I wouldn't be able to resell after a buyer returns it. The risk reward isn't quite as balanced as it used to be when selling on eBay, and causing me seriously rethinking continuing on with it. Which this is kind of sad because everything is going up. The way the platform is designed is it's actually going to cause good sellers to leave the platform because the profit margins are just not there. Like, and they can't absorb these instances where eBay bends over backwards for the buyer and leaves the seller, you know, to absorb these costs. And again, we're only hearing it from his perspective, but I have no reason to believe that this is not a very accurate story. I don't know who would take the time to type this lengthy and explain everything if it's not 100% accurate. LROF4Z9. That's how Canadians say Z. I know, it's weird. I still cannot get used to it. eBay is about money. If it's someone's job within eBay, it is someone's job within eBay to find money. The negative feedback is another avenue to siphon money away from resellers stealthily. They are using the buyer to accomplish the goal. So I believe that they're stating, they're implying that if a buyer isn't 100% feedback, then they will lose top rated seller status, which would lessen their discount. Oh, Mayakoyama says, wow, I thought I was the only one who wasn't excited anymore to get offers on eBay. I'm pretty bummed with eBay lately. It's gotten to the point where an offer comes in and I don't even want to accept it. My first thought in my mind is, do I really want to deal with this? Same if I get any question from the buyer that isn't a simple yes or no answer. I just don't feel like wasting my time anymore. I used to be happy to answer buyer questions, but a couple months ago, I got multiple returns in a row opened after answering questions for buyers who wanted additional measurements, additional photos, etc. It just doesn't feel like it's worth my time anymore. These people want the return policy of Amazon or a big box store, yet those retailers aren't going to spend the time taking additional photos or measurements for them. I had an incident yesterday. A buyer wanted to buy 4 like small comics, like they were like mini comics. They were still sealed in polybag. No, they're not here anymore. Now, it would have cost $15 to ship it to Peru, untracked. It would have cost $30 to ship with tracking. Now, the buyer was just like asking question after question after question. He was kind of like requesting certain things. And at some point, had he not been so demanding, I was willing to ship it untracked. The comics themselves were like $19. It's not worth it to pay $30 for him to pay $30 for a tracked. I would rather just ship it untracked. I take the risk, and I was a little on the fence because I was remembering Josh Galt talking about like things not being confirmed, or he had a lot of bad experience shipping to South America. I was still willing to take that risk. But the more he asked questions, like he was kind of maybe wanting to go with the tracked, but I don't know, things can still get lost when they're tracked, and I didn't want to do that. So I just, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this deal anymore. And I just blocked him. I don't want to deal with headache buyers. I know that we're supposed to be very, what's the word? Compliant, when buyers ask questions, and I am up to a point, but I'm going to be honest with you. I have my limitations. Like, buyers want the best price, but then they also want to like hound me for a ton of questions and label me as a bad seller. I check my feedback. My customers will disagree with you. I have limitations as to how much I want to invest in a buyer. I'm just being completely straight up honest with you guys. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. James Gottschall said, I hate when eBay doesn't have a way to give you feedback when the buyer doesn't leave it. I think I have only half of what I bought sold items and never got feedback. The easiest way to get the feedback back up is to sell more items. Yes, okay. I do think that's a flaw in eBay system. I think that they should adopt, I know Hip Comics does this, where if the buyer doesn't leave feedback after 2 weeks, it's a positive feedback. Like, they have 2 weeks, or give them a specific time, and if the buyer doesn't provide you with feedback, it should be a positive. No feedback indicates that they're happy. If they weren't happy, they're going to let you know. They're going to let you know probably the minute they open their package. So I do agree with this. I do agree that eBay should implement a system where if they don't leave feedback after a certain amount of time, it turns positive, because what that would do is it would start to buffer your feedback rating score in a very common sense, logical kind of way. Stevens Bargain Barn says, I think the feedback needs to be updated and cannot make all customers happy. In my opinion, for a customer to leave a neutral or negative feedback, they would have to reach the seller first to resolve the issue, and eBay does not need to hound the customers to leave feedback. Some customers just get ticked off and just leave a negative or neutral, thinking the seller is doing the hounding of the feedback. Sellers that do everything possible to correct a bad situation should be praised and rewarded by eBay. If the sellers like this, that would go a long way to actually providing a good buyer's experience, which they, eBay, claim to care so much about. I agree that if a buyer wants to leave, and I know James at My Boring Resale Life has talked about this, and I totally agree with this, that sellers should be given the opportunity to make a buyer whole. It shouldn't be an emotional decision that they just leave feedback. It should be more of give us a chance. I would feel so much better about the whole feedback system if I'm just given a chance to make it right. I admit things go wrong. Literally, what did I do? I sent somebody somebody had bought 3 patches. I'm gonna pause this because I want to find the actual comments. Got him. All right. So this guy had bought 3 patches off me, and I sent 2 right ones. One was wrong. So he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I got this one. I didn't get this one. What can we do?" I'm like, "I'm gonna send it to you." I'm like, "Is it my fault? Don't even sweat it. I'll have it in the mail tomorrow." Comment: absolutely amazing seller. Had a slight mistake come up where the wrong patch got sent out, but they were extremely quick to respond and resolve the issue. Would definitely buy from them again. I often feel that there's an opportunity whenever a situation goes wrong to make it right and to kind of like convince that buyer what a damn good seller you are, and turn that, you know, bad experience into an amazing experience. That's kind of how I try to approach every obstacle when it comes to reselling, with that approach. Another one, I sent a comic out. It was a low value comic. There was no tracking on it. And he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I never got this." I'm like, I got another one. Put it in the mail, sent it to him. Here's the feedback. "The seller went above and beyond to get this book delivered to me. Great eBayer, A++ to leather." There's probably like 18 pluses on there. So he's happy. I talked about those window brackets where the buyer, he didn't get them. I messaged him, or he messaged me. I refunded them, and then the next day they showed up, and he was ecstatic. He literally left me feedback before he's even gotten them. That's how confident he is that I basically got them in the mail for him. So yeah, there's so many opportunities that I feel would make eBay a better place. It would make the buyer experience. If eBay wants to have a better buyer experience, this is the opportunity. Allow the sellers the opportunity to fix their mistakes, right? Think about that for a minute. You know, and because if you don't, now you have a situation where the seller has negative feedback, the buyer is ticked off, and that does not yield for another buyer to come along and buy from that seller. So if eBay allowed us to work this out, fix the situation, positive feedback would be left, and it would ensure, or it would increase the chances in the future that someone else is going to buy from that seller, which is going to yield eBay more money. Win-win, not lose-lose. You know, I get tired of people. This is a bit of a rant, but not really a rant. I get tired of people who think I'm negative about eBay. I'm not negative about eBay. I am stating facts across the board. I am concerned about the current state of eBay because I want to be on eBay long term. But I am highly concerned. If I didn't give a crap about eBay, I wouldn't be making these videos. If I didn't hope that someone at eBay is watching this, taking notes and thinking, oh, you know, this guy has some good ideas. I mean, obviously they're not. But, you know, I make these videos anyhow. I make these videos for me. I make these videos for you. I make these videos for anybody who wants to watch them. But I get pretty triggered when people think, oh, you're just being negative. No, I'm not being negative. I'm being factual. I'm being accurate, and I'm being critical when I know that I know eBay can be better. Okay, Ames W. Okay, sorry. In my opinion, some of those feedback you were reading off is the seller's problem. I think the last video I was reading some feedback said, no, we sellers are not perfect, but we are responsible for the shipping, like it or not. We pick the carrier, we pick the service from sale to delivery. Sellers are responsible. Out of stock, you deserve the feedback. It's your job to be accurate. It's your job to ship right. It's your job to describe accurately. It's your job to make people happy with what you do. When you don't, buyers have the absolute right to complain. Maybe we don't like the complaints, but that is part of selling. If you have a business, you are subject to reviews. Not a single thing you can do about it. Customers have an absolute right to give their opinions. Don't think so? Better brush up on the law, my friend. What law are you talking about? Like, really, what law are you talking about? I had to read this. When I read this, I'm just like, okay, all right, I agree with some of the things that you're saying, but we pick the carrier, we pick the service. From sale to delivery, sellers are responsible. I don't agree with that one bit. I agree with we are responsible up to a point from the time that we ship it on time, package it securely, describe it as accurate. But once it leaves our hands, it's out of our control, right? If a fork truck drives over your package, what can you do about that? Do you deserve a negative for that? No, you don't deserve a negative for that. If you ship it the same day when your handling time's 3 days, but it takes 5 days longer than the time stated, should you get a negative for that? 100% no. It's your job it's your job to make people happy with what you do. I disagree with that. I 100% disagree with that, because you can never make everyone happy. You can do everything right, and someone is gonna, the last time I got a neutral feedback, it was because they wanted something shipped in a comic mailer, but I didn't state anywhere on my listing that I did that, and he didn't ask for it. Does that give him the right to express his opinion because of something that he wanted without asking? No, 100% no. Maybe we don't. Yeah, you're subject to reviews, but make the reviews actual and factual, right? I have seen blatant lies, just blatant lies, because the buyer wants to get it for free, or they want to get a refund. They want eBay to side with them. So I 100% disagree with the majority of this comment. And, feel free. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong and why you think customers have the right to blatantly misrepresent their side of the story. Mahali Freeman says, I did get a negative strike on my account because the shipment I sent out was received late, and it was not my fault at all. The tracking shows the USPS didn't even bother to scan the label and held onto the packages for 5 days while they wanked away. Then decided to send it to the buyer. I provided proof to eBay that this was not my problem, and I shipped in less than 24 hours as per my 1 business day setting. They said they would not reverse the strike because I was already a top seller and it would not affect me anyways, but that's not the point. The whole point of this was to get this removed because it was on my account in error. The error is eBay's fault, and the Postal Service. It has nothing to do with me. I shipped on time, and the fact that USPS did not scan the label well, I guess we are SOL 100%. This is, there are things that are out of our control. And I've never had an instance, well, I guess the last neutral that I got, eBay declined it. So luckily I was able to get the buyer to reverse it. But, it was not, I didn't feel good about the email that I had to send to him. I had to kind of kiss his butt, and that's not the kind of person I am. And it kind of makes me feel icky about the whole situation. Like the whole feedback situation, in my opinion, it's nasty. People get nasty, and for eBay to say that they're not going to remove it and it's not going to affect your account, it's still a principle thing, right? It's what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And if it doesn't matter, if eBay says, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect your account, well, then just remove it. If it doesn't matter, just remove it. Kent Hamilton says, "Hi Jeff, good content as usual. I know exactly why eBay will no longer remove negative feedback. I will bet anybody $1 trillion. Well, you got $1 trillion, man. You don't need to be selling on eBay. It's because in the very near future they're going to say anybody with less than 100% feedback will be charged a higher final value fee and their traffic will get throttled even more. Mark my words." Interesting conspiracy theory. I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest with you. Would not put it past them. Okay, Mayor Baby. A negative I have is the jersey was the wrong size. I listed as a large, titled as a large, tagged, photographed as large. eBay wouldn't remove that one because it doesn't violate their policies. The jersey was the wrong size. So then you shouldn't have bought a large if you're an extra large. But that's a feedback that should, in my opinion, that's not right. It's not right. Like if you buy a large, it's a large. Now I don't know what the return policy is. I don't know if you have when you're leaving a comment like this, try to be as, say, I do offer free returns or I don't offer free returns. The more information that you can give to color the scenario, the more information I have when reading it to be like, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. It's hard for me to, if that's the actual comment that was left, what's the right size would be my answer. That's what I would have asked them. Well, what size did you think it was? Sometimes when you are talking back and forth with the buyer, from my standpoint, I try to ask questions. I try to ask questions to get as much information from the buyer to see if there's any information that they supply to me that I can use if I feel that there's going to be an impending case. Little pro tip. Ask a lot of questions, see where that goes. All right, there's just a couple more. Ryan said, I had the same notion yesterday of looking at feedback of other sellers in my niche, especially one with high placement in searches. I found that one had almost 400 negatives in the past month. Man, they must be a high volume seller. I'm wondering if it even matters to customers, as I would assume most don't click on it. What is concerning is most of the feedback was damaged because of shipping processes or item never received. Pretty much tells me that eBay lets bad sellers run amok, despite the BBE scare a couple weeks ago. Just my 2 cents, good video. Thanks for viewing, Ryan. Bondi Blondie says, hello, you mentioned in this video a few times that you're letting eBay buyers know about District. I think it's an awesome idea, but do you think it could backfire on you? What if the buyer notifies eBay and they find out you are promoting essentially their new competitor? Now, I'm going to read Benny Stratton's response to this. He is a wealth of information, and Benny, you respond to so many comments and you make my life a lot easier. I really appreciate you. He says, there is nothing in the terms of service that says you're not allowed to send business cards in your packages, nor does it state anywhere in the TOS that you can't promote other sites. I have been promoting my website since 2000 in my packages and have gotten many customers to buy exclusively from my website instead of eBay. Now, Amazon is different. They are a business, a company. They have in there TOS that you cannot add business cards or promote websites in your packages. You can't add flyers. This is why many do not like to sell on Amazon. Each platform is different. This is why all sellers must read the Thinkorswim. That was my old trading platform. TOS, terms of service for each site with a fine-tooth comb. I had actually on multiple occasions spoken to customer service reps to determine if this was a viable thing that we can do. We can absolutely do it. So Blondie, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Once eBay has their money for the transaction, you can add anything that you want into that package. You can convert them into your own customers. You can advertise other websites, completely above board. I was concerned about that myself, and many months ago I talked about it, and I talked how I talked to eBay, and yeah. So anyhow, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Hope you guys are having a good Friday night. We will talk to you soon. I do believe I'm going to be on a live with Primo Chemo next Wednesday at 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm tentatively planning on doing my first live with Maria on the 23rd. I realize it's a busy weekend. It's kind of like something that I kind of thought about. We'll see how it goes. If you can't make it, you can't make it. I totally understand. You know, a lot of people are going to be with family, but I just thought that you know, it's kind of something. It might even be better that there's not a ton of people there. I might get overwhelmed with the thing. I've never done a live. I actually need to talk to Primo about it. But tentatively, the 23rd is when I'm planning. I don't have a time yet. It'll probably be, you know, mid-afternoon-ish Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what I'm planning on doing. So we will talk to you guys soon. Peace and blessings to everybody. And feed that YouTube algorithm. And what else? District. Hip hop culture. You still got 5-6 weeks left to take advantage of the 2% selling fees in the marketplace. So your total marketplace fees are 7% plus the 3% for the billing, which you're going to have that on any marketplace. So I don't think anybody out there that I know on District is doing what I'm doing. If you have pop culture type items and you're looking for an alternative place to sell your items, consider Hip Hop Culture. I believe we've got 11 sellers now. And yeah, so we will talk to you guys soon. Take care.
This is going in my review.
Your review?
Yeah. That was very cute, the dog. Your daughter is so sweet about it. Like, to this part of Howdy. And the kids came here so many times.
And then there's this thing on Higher Crafts where it's like this foam that
I wonder if they let you, like... Oh wow, what's happening here?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Incoming. Hey.